Hey, hello. In this video, I will be talking about the book Scientific Advertising and the main lessons that I learned from it. The reason that I am posting about it and recommending it is because it is one of the books that David Ogilvy recommends you should read. And he recommends you should read it at least 7 times before creating any type of advertisement. As well as Gary Halbert, if you know who that is. Yeah, but let's get right into it. So how can the first lesson that this book taught me was that you should think like a salesman. That advertising is basically just salesmanship in print. And the purpose of advertising is to make sales, which makes it salesmanship, but in print. And the difference is only in degree. So, for example, a salesperson's mistake or may cost you a little bit of money, but in advertising, it may affect all of your business and will cost you a lot, like 1,000 times more than what a salesman's mistake would cost you. It also has higher leverage, so it will reach more people, of course, and make you more money, but it will cost you more money as well. And to answer questions, how should you write your advertisement? How should you create your advertisement? Think like, what would I do if I met the buyer in person and I was trying to sell them? Think like that, and you're in the right framework, or in the right frame of mind. And if you think, if the answer to your question is this wouldn't work in person, don't count it to work on paper, you know. And to better hammer home this point, the book says you should go out, or says that a lot of big advertising men go out and sell before they create their ad to get in the right headspace, so that they know how their customers what they will object to, what works and what doesn't work before they create their ad. So that is a great tip. Sell to like 100% people before you write your ad. On to the next lesson. The next lesson is on how to make people to buy is offer service. And here is, you got to remember, all people are selfish, like yourself. You're thinking, how does this help me right now, right? And I'm trying to frame it that way too. And always picture yourself as the customer, and picture yourself until the natural result is to buy for yourself if you were the customer. And just think for yourself, people won't buy just because you say so. No, they buy because you have to show them that you can be trustworthy. So people buy because they trust you, because they think this will help them, because they think you will help them. That's why people buy. So you got to show people that you're trustworthy, and you do that by offering service, by showing them. You show them by offering service. Like here you have this, so people, and this is human nature. If you give something to someone, they will feel guilty and need to reciprocate it. In what way that is. And that is the way trust is formed. And I'll give you an example from the book. This is fun language here, but a brush maker has some 2,000 canvassers who sell brushes from house to house. He is enormously successful in a line which would seem very difficult, and it would be if his men asked the housewives to buy, but they don't. They go to the door and say, "I was sent here to give you a brush. I have samples here and I want you to take your choice." The housewife is all smiles and attention. In picking out the brush, she sees several she wants. She is also anxious to reciprocate the gift, so the salesman gets an order. Right? People only care about themselves. So, give them something, make them trust you. Sounds so shady. Make them trust you, and then you can go on to the next step. Next lesson. And the next one is mail order, what it teaches. So, here again, remember, it's about making sales. And based upon the sales, you see whether an ad is profitable or not, based on the cost to sales, or the cost to, so the profit essentially, cost, what is it, to, yeah, the sales price, the profit. And the only variable the only variable in mail order is the advertisement, because they buy right off the advertisement rather than seeing the advertisement, and that sort of make them think about it, and they see that they buy straight off the mail order advertisement. So the only variable here is the advertisement. This is why only the best advertisements, the actual advertisement, this makes it so that the advertisement alone is the only factor which determines the profitability, and like the competitiveness is only based upon the advertisement, which is why only the best advertisement survives. Therefore, study mail order to know what really works. This is the most effective, compressed, like the most concentrated selling persuasive juice you will ever see, because it's under so much pressure. It just gets squeezed out. That's mail order. And I'll give you an example to why. Here. Look at an ad of the Mead Cycle Company. A typical mail order ad. These have been running for many years. The ads are unchanging. Mr. Mead told the writer that not for $10,000 would he change a single word in his ads. For many years he compared one ad with another, and the ads you see today are the final results of all those experiments. Note the picture he uses. Note the headlines, the economy of space, the small types. Those ads are as near perfect for their purpose as an ad can be. So, with any other mail order ad which has long continued, every feature, every word and picture teaches advertising at its best. You may not like them, you may say they are unattractive, crowded, hard to read, anything you will, but the test of result has proved those ads are the best salesmen those lines have yet to discover. And they certainly pay. Next lesson. And the next lesson is how headlines will make people buy what you sell. And so first off, the difference, we keep coming back to this, but the difference, because we're trying to compare here salesmanship, the book wants you to kind of get in the frame of mind of like advertising as salesmanship. And the difference between advertising and salesmanship, personal salesmanship, is largely impersonal, also largely impersonal contact. Um, in personal salesmanship, it is easy to get and hold the customer's attention. It is not so in advertisement. And but the problem with personal salesmanship is you often spend too much time on the wrong prospects, uninterested prospects. That is not so in advertisement, because the readers that you do get are only the ones who are interested. And people skim over the headlines or the text which they do not. You know this yourself. You scroll through the feed and you find some. Scroll through the feed and just skim over the text until you find something that's interesting, or e.g. something that applies to you. Something that's valuable to you. Here again, people are selfish. They only care about themselves. They only want to know something that can be applied to them. So how can this help you, the customer? How can this apply to the customer? How can this help the customer? Therefore, the headline will determine the amount of readers, and by proxy, the amount of sales, right? Next lesson. On to the next point. And this is to hammer home, the scientific stance of advertising, scientific advertising. Be specific, being specific. People recognize loose selling talk, like for example, supreme inequality. No. Be specific, because then people will know that you are either telling the truth or lying. And people don't expect you to lie. So therefore, and to hammer this home, I'll be specific, giving you an example from the book. Yeah, here. Shaving soaps have long been advertised. Abundant lather, does not dry on the face, acts quickly, etc. One advertiser has a good chance as another to impress with those claims. Then a new maker came into the field. It was a tremendously difficult field, for every customer had to be taken from someone else. He stated specific facts. He said, multiplies itself in lather 250 times, softens the beard in 1 minute, maintains its creamy fullness for 10 minutes. The final result of testing and comparing 130 formulas. For perhaps never in advertising has there been a quicker and greater success in an equally difficult field. Just to hammer, home that point. And you want every word of your advertisement to be as powerful as possible. And being specific makes that happen. And the reason you want every word to be as powerful as possible, because it is expensive to advertise. Every word could cost you like $10 according. But the point here is you want to use as little as few words as possible. People have short attention spans. You want to get to the point quickly. Think like, and here it helps. Think, and then therefore you need to be specific. But here it helps to think like a scientist. How would a scientist? They want to see facts. They are convinced by facts. So how would a scientist? He wouldn't skim over and loose talk. No, he would say, it is so. This is the fact. Research, research, research. On to the next point. No, yeah, so next point is use samples to make people buy. And this is because samples is one of the cheapest ways, however expensive the samples might be, it is almost always the cheapest way to acquire a new customer. And the reason is, first off, they enable you to use the words such as free, and that alone could justify the use of samples. And a second, a sample gets action, and that is because people want stuff that's free. People want things that so they will take action to get it just because it is free. And it might not immediately make them buy your product, but it will at least make them give you your contact information, and they are interested, and they are ready to be followed up with. So you have a new customer that you can follow up with. You have acquired a new lead, essentially. And here is another thing, to avoid costs, because that's what we get customers for as little cost as possible, and to avoid costs, you should only give samples to people who are, or customers, people who are interested in your product, and this or interested in buying your product. And you make sure of this by making the customer take or put in some kind of effort to get your sample. Okay? Because then you weed out the worst of the bunch, at least that. Yeah, so on to the next. Remember, it is the cheapest way. It is. So use samples. The next lesson is use test campaigns to make people buy. Or to test. No, you should use test campaigns. But the reason is, every new business idea start with the question, will this make me money? And oftentimes you and your friends might like it, but the majority may not. Therefore, ask the consumer. And first then you test by the thousands, and you let them decide what the millions will do. For example, when we learn what 1,000 customers will cost to acquire, we will learn approximately what 1,000,000 customers will cost to acquire. And when we learn what 1,000 customers will buy, we learn what the millions will buy. You catch my drift here? And tests often pay for themselves. And oftentimes even before the bills are due. And this makes it so that you can run tests without making an investment even. How great is that? And yeah, just essentially be like a business scientist. Go out and you get a hypothesis, go out and you test it. Simple as that, right? And to the last lesson, which is good business. Good business, man. First off, I will read you the example from the book, which I loved, by the way. A rapid stream ran by the writer's boyhood home. The stream turned a wooden wheel, and the wheel ran a mill. Under that primitive method, all but a fraction of the stream's potentiality went to waste. Then someone applied scientific methods to that stream, put in a turbine and dynamos. Now, with no more water, no more power, it runs a large manufacturing plant. We think of that stream when we see wasted advertising power. Yeah. How can you be more... So the question is, how can you be more scientific in your advertisement and business ventures. Be more specific and exact. Think like, how would a scientist go about doing this? And as I have mentioned in this video, test before you apply. So you wouldn't go out and just, or if you're a mad scientist, you would do that. You would just apply without testing. And then think like the customer too, or be the customer. Preferably be the customer. Measure and trace your returns always. You always gotta run test. You gotta be like a bit, yes, as I said, business scientist. The world is your laboratory. Test. And that is essentially it. Yeah, think of business as a scientific venture, and you will not fail far off. You will understand, you will know, you will be able to control, right? Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one, which will be, I think, about the book Breakthrough Advertising with Gene Schwartz.